everybody, and welcome back to the stream, to Blanche K's Fitness. It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. You can tell I haven't done these taglines in a while, because I can't remember what I'm supposed to say. Hi everybody. You've made it to Friday. Hopefully this is the end of your week. If it's not, it's still always good to make it to Friday. I hope that your week's been going well so far. It's been pretty good. It's finally gotten cool in Colorado, like fall weather cool, which is just always such a joyful experience, and a bit cloudy and a bit rainy too, which is also quite nice. So I've been quite pleased about that. And of course, this is our first week back in a couple of months, second class in a while. And yeah, it is very nice to be streaming again, and I am very glad that I'm only doing 2 classes this week, because I don't think I would have had the energy for more. And you know, it's one of the things that I am trying to focus on, and that I hope that everybody is able to try to focus on, is just really trying to pay attention to how much energy I have to spend and what I want to spend it on, and trying to be really much more honest with myself about, you know, I have the energy to teach class, but maybe I don't have the energy to also, like, you know, do another activity that is not sort of as simple, doesn't come as naturally to me, you know? Because different types of activities take different amounts of mental and emotional labor. And, you know, one of the best things we can do for ourselves is to start to really identify what are the things that feel, you know, relaxing, no matter how, you know, hard you're working. And what are the hi, oh no, you forgot it was Friday. That's all right. It's all right. If you want to hang out in the chat, that's always good too. But yeah, what the things are that are easy no matter how, you know, difficult they are, and what are the things that come with more of an emotional burden and maybe drain you a little bit more than they give back to you. And that, you know, if there's one fucking lesson that we can take out of the just awfulness of the past almost 2 years, it's that. I mean, not almost 2 years. We've still got a little bit of time. I recognize I'm rounding up because it feels hard not to, but that I think is a good lesson. And, you know, I talk about it a lot because it's not something that I've ever been particularly good at, and I'm trying to get better at it, and I want to help you try and get better at it too. So this is our second class back in a while, and again, we're sort of ramping back up into this process. We're ramping back up into this, you know, rhythm, into being like, oh yeah, Wednesdays and Fridays are class days, you know? Ramping back up into the expectation of, all right, I'm going to get done with my work on Friday, and then I'm going to, you know, work out for a while and sort of send myself into the weekend with that experience. So yeah, I'm not in a rush. And I hope that you're not either, you know, and hopefully you've been exercising even while class wasn't going on. But, you know, maybe you, like me, had an exercise schedule that was a little bit all over the place and seemed to change week to week. And so we're slowly getting ourselves back into a groove and into a rhythm. Yeah, I talked I talked on Wednesday about some of the ideas that I have for how to sort of reduce some of the load of class on me, so that it's easier to continue forward. And I'm gonna post that, I think, online. I'm gonna put that up on social media. So keep an eye out there, and that will kick off next week with Jump Around. Anyway, golly, it's Functional Home Fitness. It's time. Yay! Hello, my dear. Oh my goodness. Oh, I got my first payout from Twitch like a week or two ago. That was exciting. How long have I been an affiliate? I finally got a payment. Almost a year later, but better late than never. But yes, this is Functional Home Fitness. We're doing weight training, but we're doing weight training with objects that are not specifically weights. Yeah, I know, I was excited. And so that comes with interesting and fun creative challenges. So here are the two advisories I'd like to give before class. One of them is very specific to this class, and one is more generalized to free weight training in general. So for this class, we're using objects that, are not necessarily designed for weightlifting, like, say, my Kirkland vegetable oil. So if you're just starting out, err on the side of caution. Err on the side of lower amounts of weight. Get a feel for how things feel, how difficult or easy they are to use. You can always add more load on or find heavier objects, but if we start too heavy, we put ourselves at risk of injuring ourselves. So err on the side of caution as you're learning about what you have available to you. And more generally, for free weight training, you always want to load towards the capacity of your weaker side, not your stronger side. We have this sort of intuitive thinking that, okay, well, I have a stronger side and a weaker side, and I want my weaker side to work up to where my stronger side is, so I'm just gonna force it to get there by using weights that are a heaviness that my stronger side can manage. And that, again, puts us at risk of injuring ourselves because our weaker side doesn't have the capacity to manage that much weight, is going to be more prone to making unhealthy adjustments, injuring ourselves, etc. So those are our advisories. And you know what, friends? I think it's time to get started. Thank you to Merriman Lion and the Mad Punter for resubscribing. Tier 1 subscribers. It's always so exciting. Thank you. Thank you both. But yeah, pre-class checklist. Hiya! You've got your water in whatever vessel you are using. You've got your comfy clothes, whatever that means to you. You've got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, we will turn them on now. Not high-intensity interval training today. Today is you just use some sort of traditional strength training setting, okay? Because apart from the warm-up, we're not really going to be doing any HIIT workouts today. So everything's going. Oh, and the other thing on the list for today is making sure you have things to weightlift with, like big bottles of oil, like the player's handbook and the dungeon master's guide, like a giant sketchbook on anatomy. I also have a tote bag so that I can load this and have easier sort of handles. This is a really good hack for a class like this. Bags, backpacks, stuff like tote bags, those can be loaded with however many objects. It's a lot easier to take weight out or add weight in, and they have much more understandable dimensions than something like my giant olive oil or canola oil bottle has. Vegetable oil. There we go. Third tries the charm. So we've got everything. That is on. And now I just need to figure out. There it is. Haha. Found it. All right, my dears. Let's start with our warm-up. We do the same warm-up today, even though today's not a HIIT class, but this is still just a good general overall warm-up. And it provides a nice through line for everybody taking class. And just sort of shove things out of the way because I can't see if it's blocking me in the camera, but better safe than sorry. All right. So everybody, let me open up my timer. There we go. Everybody on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee. And as soon as you hear that horn go off, we will begin with hip rocks and bridges. Oh my. And we will immediately stop because I need to reconnect my phone to my speaker. I forgot about that because last night I was playing D&D and a friend of mine had a really awesome playlist of music, which is always just so fun when you're playing. But I had her connect her phone to the speaker and then I forgot all about it. Hey, there we go. All right. Okay. Still, obviously, getting back into the swing of teaching and trying to remember 5 million things, but now when you hear that horn go off, we will begin with the requisite hip rocks and bridges. Hey, much better, much easier to hear. So if you took class on Wednesday, then, I want you to really focus in during this warm-up on how you're feeling, how your body's feeling. It's been a while since we've done this warm-up routine, unless you've continued to do it in the meanwhile, which is always an awesome thing to do. Honestly, whenever I have friends or clients who are looking to sort of ease themselves back into exercise, this is a nice contained sequence of movements, and as we talk about frequently, it sort of moves you through different intensity levels really intuitively and it gets you to a pretty nice place in terms of energy output, and you can add more intensity to it. If this is the only thing that you're doing in a day, if you're just like, okay, I'm going to take these 16 minutes and just run the warm-up sequence, then you can add more overall intensity to it as you go through the sequence. We don't usually hear because we're using it as a warm-up, and we very specifically do not want to run through all of our energy in the first 16 minutes of class and then have nothing left in the tank for the remaining 44, 45. But if you're looking for a way to sort of ease back in to this style of workout, this warm-up sequence can be super useful. And at this point, you probably have it memorized, so all you actually need in order to do it is some sort of a timer app. All right, let's go into our leg sequence, starting with Jane Fonda. Hurrah. So, yeah, I definitely recommend if you're looking for something, or if you've been struggling with, like, I want to work out every day, but I'm struggling to sort of inspire myself, don't do the whole thing in one piece. Do chunks of it throughout the day. There are so many ways that we can modify things to help ourselves to build towards the practice that we want to get to ultimately, okay? And again, we don't have to start this process by jumping straight to the top of the mountain, because that A, it's not feasible, and B, if we're over here trying to jump to the top of the mountain and failing over and over again, then we're demoralizing ourselves, All right, top foot flat on the floor in front of that bottom knee, lifting the bottom leg. So always keep in mind that we can modify based on where we are, based on what our needs are. And then as we build, we can shift things, okay? But we don't ever want to feel pressured into pushing ourselves into an unsafe situation. And unfortunately, that's what happens far too frequently in fitness spaces. We get this real boot camp mentality, and it teaches us to ignore the needs and the signals of our bodies and brains, and that's just never a good place to start. So I'm taking it easy this week, you know? All right, beach position, my friends, still lifting that bottom leg. I'm taking it easy, and ironically, you know, taking it easy still gave me an incredibly good workout and really nice data results from Wednesday's class. So, you know, sometimes all we need to do is give ourselves permission to take it a little bit easier. And it's a win-win, because either you're going to take it easier and you're still going to have done the thing, and that's awesome, and that's helping to get, you know, the routine back into your brain, or you give yourself that permission, and because you know that you are safe to take it easy if you need to, you feel more comfortable pushing yourself a little harder, you know? So it's a win-win, okay? But starting with being kind to ourselves is never a bad place to start. And I will continue to push that for as long as I am teaching. That is my approach to teaching. That's my approach to fitness and exercise, you know? We are going to get so much farther in the long run by not bullying ourselves and not, you know, not shaming ourselves. And I struggle with this because, you know, I live in a society that has given me a lot of really unhealthy messaging over the years. And I'm not immune to that. It's pretty impossible to be immune to that. So it's a constant conversation with myself to just, you know, take a step back and be like, you were doing something, and that's the win. That's the most important thing, you know? You're gonna get far fitter in the long run by doing something than by not doing anything because you couldn't do it perfectly that day, you know? And some days that knowledge is still not enough, you know? Some days mental health just gets the better of us, and that's okay too, even though it's really hard to accept that, you know? So if you truly are, if you're just like, I cannot get myself up out of this chair, I cannot, you know, like, in those instances, again, try to do what you can, even if what you can do is just standing up for a second and then sitting back down. But if you can't get even there, that's okay, you know, that is okay. And it sucks and it's hard, but you're gonna be okay. So this is us just sort of easing our way back in, not worrying about how intensely we're pushing ourselves today, not worrying about hitting PRs or, you know, going to failure or anything like that. We're just here going, okay, let's get back into the swing of weekly class. Let's remind ourselves, okay, this is what the structure of Wednesday usually looks like. This is what the structure of Friday usually looks like. And let's take it from there. All right, moving into opening up hips and spines, starting with our scorpion twists. Getting that nice twist in the lower to mid spine, making sure that your elbows are staying firmly planted on the floor. They are not lifting, so that may put a hard stop on how far you are able to twist, and that's fine. And that's going to, in turn, make it a lot easier for you to track improvements in that flexibility, okay? So, we're not worried about it, because at some point you're gonna go, holy crap, I did manage to put my foot flat on the floor and get my knee all the way up to the ceiling. And that's gonna be an exciting day. All right, and now doing our nice big torso rotations. Remember, we do 2 in one direction, and then we reverse 2 in the other direction, because we only do this for one timer, so we want to make sure that we are evening ourselves out. And we're generating the movement, we're initiating the movement rather from the hips. So I'm not moving the arms and following behind. I'm not diving down with the head. I'm starting a flat back from the hips, letting it fold over so that I can feel that stretch through the hamstrings, and then going in the other direction. All right, and now we're still holding our imaginary PVC pipe above our heads, and we're doing our first round of squats for the day. And always remembering to pay attention to that knee positioning, making sure the knees are going straight over the feet the whole time, and that they're not trying to cave in towards one another at any point during the movement. And again, what do we do if we're not able to maintain that sort of aspirational position? Well, we modify. We narrow the stand, and we practice there, build strength there until we are able to go back into that wider stance and maintain that foot position. All right, and now our Samson stretches. I still have no idea why the stretch was named this way, and I don't have the same opportunities to ask my original mentor in this space, since the rock gym I had taught at sadly has had to close down its in-person fitness instruction program for obvious reasons. So who knows, you know, maybe this month we will we'll do some sort of a contest to figure out what we should call this particular stretch. Since I don't really like having stretches that I don't know the origin of the name for. All right, and now we're in this nice wide squat position, doing our shoulder twists, getting that twist into the upper spine now. So we've hit all the different levels of the spine throughout our warm-up, and we're at the end of the sequence to open up hips and backs, and we are just about at the cardio section of our warm-up, getting ready to do our final 3 exercises before we get our little break and find out what types of strength training exercises we're gonna do today. All right. So we start with our jumping jacks, remembering that we're not doing huge jumping jacks with straight arms, all that jazz. We're in the cardio section, but we're still not ramping up to 100% energy output. So I keep my elbows bent this whole time. That also makes it easier on my shoulders for my shoulder issues. And I'm not jumping my feet out as far as they can go. So we're still booting up systems. So now I'm just getting my cardiovascular system online and ready for exercise for the rest of the hour, okay? So don't worry about going, hell for leather, or whatever that phrase is. All right, kick throughs. And we are slowly making our way back into kick throughs, yeah? So remembering that we want the knee pointing straight up to the ceiling, and we want that back leg to have a 90-degree angle as best as we can. We don't want to be sitting on the floor or having our butt close to the floor, and we don't want the knee caving forward, okay? Same thing with the arm. We want that shoulder as close to over the wrist as possible. We don't want to be pushing too far back from the wrist, okay? And just switching in the center and going to the other side. And we do not need to be rushing. And now, last but not least, our burpees. Wave push up and victory clap up at the top. So there we go. This is the most intense exercise that we do in our warm-up. So this is our signal that we have booted up all necessary systems, and we are ready to go for the rest of class. So smile on that face, enjoying yourself, remembering that if you can make it through these first 16 minutes, you have absolutely got it in you to get through the rest of class. All right, finishing up. And there we are. All right. Good job, everybody. That's not what I meant to open. There we go. Okay. Good warm-up, my friends. Very good warm-up. Hello, Steve. Oh my goodness. It's so good to see you back here. So good to see me back here. Hey. Okay, friends. Yeah, I'm feeling good. See, and that's a nice thing about having the same warm-up for all the classes. It's something that we know how to do. We don't have to put that much thought into it, so we can really maintain that energy and that focus for exercises that we may be less familiar with going through class. And we have something that we can just sort of move through, and you get to the end and you're like, man, that didn't seem like that long, but I'm sweating a little bit. I'm feeling my cardiovascular system working a little bit, and I think I'm ready to go. So yes, remember to drink water. That's one of the things that coming back to teaching, I am remembering how hard it was / is for me to hydrate appropriately the whole time. Yes, and calibration is always important, particularly for exercise, particularly for these activities where we're just doing a lot of incredible things and we're pushing the boundaries of what the human body is capable of doing, which is super exciting. And we also want to be as safe with it as possible, because we want to be able to keep doing this class in our 60s and our 70s. We want to still be running that HIIT workout. All right, so, oh no, did you stop running, timer? You did. Oh well. That's okay, we're getting our feet back under us. All right, so for today's class, let's see here. What do we want to do? I did not bring my my famed laundry detergent bottle because it's honestly running low on detergent. It's not as heavy as it once was. So instead, I have my Costco of cooking oil. And one of the things about the items that we find around our house is that because they're not designed for exercise, you may have to factor in grip strength to how effective they are as weight objects. So this bottle has a nice handle on it, and I think I'm going to be fine doing the exercise that I want to do with it, but it is going to require that I pay special attention to my grip. So we're going to do our usual structure. I'm going to set that timer going, 2-minute intervals. At the beginning of the interval, we do all of our reps in a row, and we spend the rest of the interval resting, and then we'll hear knock, knock, knock. And in this class, that means we have 10 seconds to get into position because we're using weights, so we want to have a little bit of extra time to prep. And then when you hear the horn, then you start the next exercise. All right? So we're going to do, I'm not sure how many exercises we're going to do. We're going to do pretty focused on arm day today, I think. So I'm going to start with some sort of object. I'm using this, and we're going to do just nice bicep curls. Generally, when we're doing weightlifting like this, I will do one side and then the other because it's a lot harder with objects around our house to find things that match in shape, size, and weight. So easier to just do one arm and then the other arm. So we'll do our first arm, take the rest, and then do our second arm for the second interval, okay? So that's gonna be our first two. Then, taking away everything I just talked about how I usually do one arm at a time, we're gonna do lateral raises. If you are a D&D nerd, the PHP and the DMG are close enough in weight, and obviously they're the same size, that they are very nice to use for this. Generally, I will try and switch which is in which hand each time we go through, and that's how I make sure to even myself out. So holding these books, and I'm just going to lift them up till they are parallel to the ground at shoulder height, and then lower. For any time that we're doing lateral raises, ramp down the amount of weight, okay? You do not want to be starting out with a super heavy amount of weight because our shoulders, very unstable joints, very prone to injury. So we want to make sure in everything that we do, but particularly when we do exercises like lateral raises, we want to make sure that we are not overloading them with weight, okay? All right. So we've done 1, 2, 3. Fourth exercise, we're just going to do our 1 dumbbell front raise. I'm going to go back to my bottle of oil. I'm going to hold it on both sides. If I was using a dumbbell, I would just have hand over hand on the handle. And we're just going to take a nice stance and again lift until it's about eye level and lower and lift and lower, okay? And then we're going to do a 5th exercise, and that's just going to be a wall sit, but we're going to hold a weight out in front of us. And you can either just hold the weight there, or you can add some abdominal work into it and twist back and forth. So remembering for our wall sits, we want 90-degree angles, here and here, here and there, okay? And so you want to have something, again, relatively light. I mean, you know, push yourself if you have the capacity, but don't be a hero. And we're going to hold that out in front of us, or we're going to add that twist side to side to get that additional abdominal interaction. And for those, since a wall sit obviously doesn't have a number of reps, we're just gonna, I'll let you know when a minute has passed out of the 2. And for everything else, The range today, we're gonna give a pretty big range to let you really sink back in. You just wanna make sure, especially for the first 2 exercises, since we're doing arm 1 then arm 2, that you're doing the same number of reps on both sides. So sometimes it's better to start with your weaker side so that you can peg how many reps you can do, okay? And our range, I'm gonna give you a range from 15 to 30, okay? So lots of room to play, lots of room to push ourselves, and then maybe drop down a little bit, depending on how you're feeling. But we're gonna have that timer, 2-minute intervals. We've got 5 total sets, I do believe. So ultimately, we're gonna go through this timer 20 times, approximately. And we're starting with bicep curls on the first side. So everybody, I want you to get prepared, get set on your mat. And as soon as you hear that horn, we go. Okay. And you want, if you're doing a standing position, you want to really make sure your core is engaged. You want to make sure your glutes are engaged. The only thing that should be moving is your arm doing the exercise, all right? We never want to be dragged over by the weight that we're using. So if you're struggling with that, then you are more than welcome to grab a chair and do these from a seated position. And you can even have your elbow on your knee to help support it and just make it easier to focus on the exercise itself, okay? So that is absolutely okay. I honestly thought about just doing that, but I'm feeling the desire to do this from a standing position. So just remember that that is absolutely a modification you can make, okay? And we are never afraid to make those modifications because they keep us safe and they help us ultimately get stronger and get closer to our goals. Oh, all right. Yeah, man, the oil bottle, not too shabby. Basically, Costco's of anything are frequently very useful weightlifting tools, which shouldn't surprise anybody with a Costco membership or who has ever had a Costco membership. They are frequently the items that I will default to when I'm looking for items around the house to weightlift with. And I will say, my friends, one of the things I've been thinking about for this class, I personally, for myself and for my exercise routine, am planning to start building out a collection of dumbbells and kettlebells at home. Just really feeling like I have hit that place where that is the way that I am going to continue to improve my own fitness and reach my own goals. This class is always going to have its motley assortment of materials and descriptions of how you can use these objects from around your house to weightlift with. That's never going to go away because it's very important to me that we have that capacity to imagine what in our house can be used for weight training if we don't have access to a gym or gym equipment. But when we're actually doing the exercises, I may start doing them with dumbbells as I build up my collection, just so that I am able, again, to keep moving forward on my own goals. And, you know, obviously as a fitness instructor, it makes sense for me to invest in this type of equipment. But again, I'm always going to have my books, my laundry detergent, my tote bags, my Costco's of oil, because there is absolutely no need to spend the not insignificant amount of money on this type of equipment for your home when we have so many objects lying around that can be used for this type of exercise. And it is so important for us to have that creativity and that imaginative spark so that we are not as easily derailed by the loss of our usual spaces and our usual equipment. And I say this from experience because it has long been so difficult for me to maintain my own exercise practice when I'm not at home and when I'm not, in the space where I feel safe and comfortable. But since doing this class, I have finally started to really be able to dig into that. And so I took an extended trip back in August, and I was out in Rhode Island for a full week, and I kept doing my workouts, and I did a lot of body weight stuff, and I found weight training stuff to do, and I was just so excited that I was able to keep that practice going, because where in the past I would have probably just been like, I'm not gonna worry about it, because I had gotten used to using my imagination to be like, okay, well, what can I do today with what I have around me? So never, ever, ever feel pressured to buy lots of expensive equipment. Because frankly, if this class teaches us anything, I want it to teach us that the equipment is useful. And if you get to a place where you're like, no, I really would like to be able to push forward with my goals, and this feels like the right step, go for it, but it's not a requirement. And there are so many things that we can do without having that type of equipment. And we can get incredibly strong, and we can get incredibly powerful just using whatever is around us at any given point, okay? So that is something that I think is super important for us always to remember. And so no matter what equipment I end up doing these sets with going forward, because of course this is my workout too. It's one of those weird things where I am teaching one thing, but I'm also got my own personal goals that I'm trying to hit. But no matter what, we're always going to talk about that. I'm always going to focus when I am demonstrating. I will focus on demonstrating with the objects I would use if I didn't have dumbbells or kettlebells at my disposal. And I always want you to feel comfortable and safe in the knowledge that you do not have to go and spend hundreds of dollars on a set of weights. And weights are expensive, man. Jeez, weights are really expensive, which is frustrating. It's understandable just because they are so heavy. That was something that I hadn't actually considered. Because I'm a certified personal trainer, I have access to professional discounts at a variety of suppliers, and really had not considered previously, because I had never been in the market for this type of equipment for my home, how expensive it would be just to transport these kinds of things. And so, yeah, it's not a small amount of change, and frankly, it's a privilege to be able to spend that money on that type of equipment. And not all of us have that privilege. So just really always remember, you don't need it to get a good workout. All right, a minute has passed. Remember, I was going to let you know that for our wall sits, since they don't have traditional rep structure. Hiya. Okay, I'm going to grab water. So one rotation down, 4 more to go. My hair, not 4, 3 more to go. My hair got caught in my glasses, but it's okay. We saved ourselves. All right. Woo! Oh, it feels nice to do a little bit of weight training. It can be really nice to, like, I love HIIT workouts. I love cardio-focused workouts, but it also feels really nice to be able to just hone in on one movement. You know, when we're here doing this this bicep curl, I am really focused on just the muscles along my arm. Primarily the bicep, obviously, but because of the way that I have to grip this handle, I'm also getting activation along my forearm, which is an area that can feel really hard to specifically address fitness-wise. So I'm always pleased when I find exercises where I go, oh, well, definitely feeling that rock climbing activation there, which is good. But yeah, it's nice to just focus in and be like, I'm gonna work on just improving this one muscle group. That's gonna be my goal. And you can really narrow in, hone in on what you're doing in a way that, you know, cardio and HIIT workouts can feel a lot more frenetic. And you're doing movements that utilize so much of your body and so many of your muscle groups, which is obviously the beauty of those types of workouts. But yeah, sometimes you really just want to focus in, to get a little meditative about one particular muscle group, one particular movement. And then when you start doing the more complex stuff, you have a better understanding of how that particular muscle moves. And that does nothing but good things as we, I jumped the gun there a little bit, as we move back into more complex exercises. So yeah, we're gonna really enjoy our nice focus time on these simpler exercises. Simpler because, you know, and everything is deceptively simple, right? Even something like this, there is a lot that goes into it. There's so much just anatomically that goes into allowing us to do this motion. I also want to make sure that I'm still engaging my abs and my glutes so that I have this nice, strong standing position and I'm not letting myself get pulled over by the weight. So that's something that I also have to pay attention to. So there's plenty going on. There's plenty that's going on in even the seemingly simplest exercises. You know, I've talked before about how when you really start to dig in to human anatomy and into all of the different processes that have to fire in order for us to just make a single motion, you get amazed that we have the capacity for movement at all. It's truly remarkable. It is truly remarkable the things that we are able to achieve. Because let me tell you, there's a lot going on that we're not consciously aware of That has to happen in order for us to be able to do a class like this. Man, I'll tell you, I'm definitely feeling my grip on these exercises. We've talked about this a little bit already today, but yeah, one of the things that we find when we are doing our strength workouts at home with these types of objects, again, because they are not specifically designed as weightlifting objects, frequently they will activate additional muscle groups that might not get worked as intensely if I was using dumbbells right now. So for most of the objects, actually for all the objects that I'm using today, there is a grip component that is very different than if I was using a dumbbell. Because if I was using a dumbbell, I would have my hand wrapped around the handle, and that's a really sturdy position, easy to hold. I can, wrap my thumb on top of my fingers or my fingers over my thumb and just keep that position really easily. Whereas with these objects, I'm doing a lot of, my fingers are having to do a lot more work to maintain this position, a lot more pressure from my fingers. And so that is a component of weightlifting for this class that wouldn't necessarily exist if I was doing these exercises with gym equipment. So always pay attention to that. That's another one of the big things that we need to get used to as we get ourselves, used to this class. Okay? I do this one from the side because otherwise, basically, I just have a giant bubble of oil in front of my face, and you wouldn't really be able to see me, and that doesn't really help you dig into the form of this either. So, yeah, you want to make sure that standing position is nice and sturdy. Again, you want to be in control of the weight the whole time, and that is hardest when we are lowering it for any exercise, okay? Because gravity comes along and is like, oh, cool, you're trying to lower that bottle of oil down towards the ground. Well, I would love to help you with that. And we have to be able to, take that step back and be like, I appreciate the offer, but I can do this on my own, because the second that we let gravity start playing a part in lowering the weights, we open ourselves up to injury that way, and it can be injury because we lose our grip on the object and drop it, or injury because we lose our control over the weight and it yanks our arm down. And again, our shoulders need to be tended to very carefully. So yeah, we always want to make sure, with very few exceptions, there are some exceptions, but not generally in weightlifting. We want to make sure that gravity is not getting to control the action, okay? Mm-hmm. All right. And now, our second wall sit. Yeah. And again, you can be adding in the twist, the side-to-side twist, if you want that additional activation in your abdominals. We're not doing anything today really abdominally focused. So if you're like, oh, you know what I miss? Core workouts. And to that I say, yeah, absolutely, I miss them too. Definitely feel free to add that in. And otherwise, let's make sure that we are breathing, okay? It can get really intense when we're doing these held positions and we have no movement to distract our minds. So make sure you're taking nice, deep breaths the whole time. Already a minute has passed. And you're just really making sure that you're still getting oxygen throughout your system, okay? Because held positions like that still absolutely need lots of oxygen, okay? We're not just like chilling or taking a break against that wall. We are working. Our muscles are working, and they still need that oxygen. And we can have a tendency with held positions to hold our breath and be like, well, I don't want to move out of the position, so I'm going to lock everything down and that includes my breath and it'll be fine, right? And it's not fine. All right. Okay, we are halfway through, my friends. Halfway through our sequence. So back around for round 3 of bicep curls. And again, if you need to modify by sitting down, that is fine. I definitely, when I'm doing these standing, I keep my elbow really close in, and because of my particular body shape, my hip can provide some nice leverage to help support my arm overall, okay? Not everybody has that body structure, so sometimes sitting is going to be the better option. If you need that additional support, go ahead and go for it. But sometimes you are able to achieve that even from a standing position, okay? So many possibilities, so many different opportunities as we do this work. Oh man, welcome to arm day, my friends. Gotta love it. Love that arm day. Oh my goodness. It is getting dark so much earlier now. That is definitely, like, it's one of those things where I'm excited and pleased because I very much enjoy fall. I very much enjoy winter. They're 2 of my favorite seasons. But the darkness has an impact. Absolutely does. Always has for me. And this is the time of year when we start noticing it, you know? And I feel like that's why many of us have a tendency to struggle a little bit more in September and October, you know? Because these are the months where that shift in the length of daytime really starts to become apparent. And that can be really hard. So movement can help us to continue to equalize, which is why I'm pleased to be getting this class back up and running at this point, because I think it will be good for me, good for you, good for all of us. But yeah, if you have a tendency to be like, oh God, I really hate, you know, September, or I hate October, you know, think about the reasons why that might be. And this is definitely a big one for many of us, I think, is just, well, there goes the sunlight. I like that sunlight. I wish it wouldn't go away, but apparently it is. And yeah, so again, some days our fitness goal is just to be able to stand up off the couch or off of the chair that we're on. And that is an excellent fitness goal. And if you're able to achieve that, I applaud you, okay? And sometimes external reminders can be super useful, which is part of the reason that we do classes like this, you know, because sometimes it is easier to get that external voice reminding you to do a thing than it is to motivate ourselves to do it internally. But I turned the notifications back on my watch a couple of months ago now, I think. And I had turned them off ages ago because at the time they'd really been activating my anxiety in a really unpleasant and unhealthy way. But a couple of months ago, was like, I'll just test them back out, see how it feels. I can always turn them back off if I need to. And I have, over the last couple of months, honestly, really found value in my watch sort of being a part of my fitness journey, and particularly in reminding me to stand, okay? And I do have a standing desk, which is really awesome, and I move, back and forth between standing and seating, but again, I'm not always working in the same location, because again, we're not always in the same space, and it can be really easy to just be, suddenly look around and be like, I've been sitting in the same chair for the last 3 hours. So having my watch go, hey, how about we stand up a bit? Not only does it help remind me to stand, but it also then is not a huge leap from there to, oh, and you know what, while I'm standing, I'll bang out a few push-ups. I'll do some bicycles, just something to get a little muscle activation in. And I found that incredibly valuable. So yeah, sometimes, and it doesn't have to be, again, we can achieve this without purchasing lots of expensive equipment. So, you can achieve this by setting alarms on your phone for yourself, by saying, okay, well, I'm going to set an alarm that goes off every day at 10 a.m. and just reminds me to stand. Or get into the habit of, okay, when I go into my office and I sit down to start work, from there, I'll set a timer for myself for 30 minutes or for an hour or for an hour and a half. And when the timer goes off, I stand up and I walk around my office, and then I sit back down and set another timer, So there are so many ways that we can achieve the same effect. And again, it's about sparking that creativity, going, okay, what can I find that will help me to remember to stand, remember to move, remember to go for a walk, remember to do a quick dance party in my living room. And I'm a big fan of using whatever tools we have available to us that we find effective. And also remembering that what we find effective today may not be what we find effective tomorrow. And that's okay too. Being willing to adjust, to re-examine, to be like, you know what, I set this alarm for myself to remind myself to do push-ups every day at this time, but I just find myself like turning it off all the time now. I can't remember the last time I actually did this. Well, there we go. That is a signal that it's time to find a different approach, okay? It's time to turn that alarm off. If that alarm is no longer doing anything useful except for kind of annoying you once a day until you turn it off, then don't use it, That is okay. It is okay for us to do that. It doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't mean that something's wrong. It just means that we are not the same humans throughout our entire lives. We're not static creatures. Our brains aren't static, our bodies aren't static. And instead of wrestling against that, let's use it to our advantage. you know? And let's say, all right, this isn't working anymore, so what can I do that is going to achieve the goal I want to achieve? All right, a minute has passed, my friends. And when we give ourselves that permission, we find, or at least I've found, that as I've gotten better at giving myself that permission, it has been a lot easier for me to build and maintain routines for myself and to not pressure myself during the days or weeks when I don't maintain those routines. When I'm like, I just can't do that, you know? It isn't a silver bullet. It doesn't mean that I am now perfect at maintaining everything that I try to do, but it means that I am more effective at it, and I don't shame and bully myself when on the days when I'm not, which makes it easier for me to then in turn be more effective at it. Okay? Oh my goodness. Guess what, my friends? We are on our final sets. Okay? So I want these sets always look back at your form. We want our form to be just as good here in our fourth go through as it was on the first. So checking in, this may mean that you can't do as many reps as you did at the beginning, and that's okay. Again, we give ourselves the freedom to ramp down as we need to recognize and honor what our body's capacity is at any given point, and to protect ourselves from injury. Okay? All right, I need to actually drink water this time. Last time I sat down to drink water, got on a tear, and then didn't drink water. There we go. Much better. Much, much better. All right. And yeah. Oh, I'm gonna definitely want to give myself a massage later, because I'm feeling, again, a lot of grip work means a lot of activation along this nice chunky boy right here. So, but what a joy to be able to do this again, my friends. Circle back into class and just be able to gather together and know that we are doing something really good and healthy for ourselves, and that we are being kind to ourselves in all sorts of ways, you know? It is being kind to ourselves to bring exercise into our lives, to have this tool to move our bodies and strengthen them and get to test their capacity. And it is kind to ourselves to ease into that, to remind ourselves that we do not have to be lifting maximum weights right off the bat, that we do not have to hit a personal record every time we take class, that we do not have to be able to do the same number of reps every time we do something, okay? So everything about this comes with us being kind to ourselves. And that is such a hard lesson for us to learn. I feel like it is, I know that it is too frequently far easier for us to extend kindness and support to other people than it is to extend that same kindness and support to ourselves. And there are a lot of reasons for that. You know, there are a lot of mental health reasons for that. There are a lot of systemic structural reasons for that, you know. When you live in a society that makes you feel unsafe just by virtue of, you know, insert X thing that we don't have fucking control over, but have decided is a moral feeling anyway, then it can feel a lot easier to focus our care and attention on other people, because we don't even have that baseline level of safety that allows us to believe that we can extend that care to ourselves, since we are shown over and over again societally that our communities are not going to extend that care to us. So yeah, this class allows us to be kind to ourselves and allows us to say definitively that I am important and my health and happiness and well-being are important, and I am going to take these very deliberate steps towards caring for myself in this way. Okay? That is what we're doing. And that is hopefully what you're feeling in class. I hope that's what you're feeling, because we all could use that. We all could use that grace, that kindness. All right. We've got 2 more things to do. My goodness. All right. We're going to do our 1 dumbbell front raises again, and then finish off with that wall set. Wall set's feeling pretty good, actually, which is nice. I've been running like once a week, which is the perfect amount of running right now. Again, I'm letting myself ramp at a rate that makes sense for me, which basically means that I am going for 1 run once a week, and I'm not worrying about the distance, and I'm not worrying about the pace. I'm just, trying to run for 20 to 30 minutes. But I don't even set that out particularly deliberately. I know the trails and the sidewalks of the area where I live, so I can make a good estimation of, doing this will take about the amount of time that I want to give to running this morning, and that has worked out quite nicely, and it just feels so much better to not be pressuring myself to hit a goal that I feel like I never hit, and then I get demoralized. And it's like, maybe I will be a much better runner someday, but I don't want to hurt myself or demoralize myself in pursuit of that goal. So I'm going to get just enough running in a week that it's something that I do, and I do enjoy it. When I'm not forcing myself to do it, I enjoy it quite a bit. And that, starting with that enjoyment is a really great thing to focus on. So yeah, just being able to enjoy what we do, my friends. Oh my goodness, how important. How important. All right. Oh, last but not least, we've got our final wall sit. Remember, 90 degrees, holding our light weight in front of us, breathing nice big breaths, because we're holding in two planes, right? Because we're holding in our legs as we're holding this wall sit, and we're holding up our arms, and we've got a weight in them, so it's not just, holding our arms out in front of us, but holding an object out in front of us. So if you're feeling vibration in your legs, in your quads, that's totally natural. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong. That's just those muscles working super hard. Super, super hard. All right? And it has been a minute. We're gonna let the rest of the timer play out as per usual so that we can get ourselves in. You can take as long as you want, you know, if you like doing a full 2-minute wall sit and then diving into the next exercise, I'm not gonna stop you. Otherwise, we're drinking our water, we're hydrating, we're patting ourselves on the back because that was a lovely strength training session, and it just feels really good to get back to class. Dang it. I'm gonna have to remember to move slightly farther away from the camera so I'm not engulfed in shadows. Ooh. All right. Hey. Yeah. Okay. Oh, well done, everybody. Well done. Let's all grab some water. And I'm not going to do stretching tonight. We don't do a ton of stretching on our Friday classes anyway. But my recommendations to you, if you need to stretch, and I do it's never a bad thing. We did those wall sits, so a quad stretch, probably going to be nice. You can do the standing quad stretch that we do quite frequently, or you can do our more intensive version on the ground. I'm not going to do that tonight because we haven't warmed up the muscles quite enough that I feel like my flexibility is going to benefit from that. And then for arms, never a bad idea to just give ourselves a little bit of massage along our arms. Aim in at the muscles that we're really focused in on, or if you're feeling any muscle groups that are oh, interesting, that really feels activated right now. So for me, because of the grip stuff, I'm feeling a lot of activation right here. So I'm just doing a nice little arm massage for myself. All right. But yeah, good job, everybody. Welcome back to class. It's so wonderful to be here again. Oh my goodness. And it's really nice to see you all back here. I know that I just sort of dropped off the face of the planet for a while, so thank you for coming back, for sticking with me. You know how much fun I have with these, and yeah, it's really nice to get them going again. So we're gonna aim for this schedule for the foreseeable future. I am considering doing like an every other week Saturday morning class. So I'll keep you posted on that, making no promises. But Wednesdays and Fridays, we're doing jump around, our weekly cardio class. Fridays, we're doing functional home fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. My God, you just did that. All my afternoon classes are at 5:30 now. So both Wednesday and Friday are at 5:30 now. If I do end up doing an every other week Saturday class, that will probably still be at 9 a.m. All my times are mountain time. Should have said that earlier. But yeah, I will keep you posted on social media, and I'll let you know what I am thinking in terms of any structure tweaks to class that I'm going to make. I've got them mostly ironed out, so watch those spaces. Yeah. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All those handles will be in my end cards, but they're all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs for these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast. And there's going to be a lot of content going up there this weekend as I get back into the upload groove. So definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I have a Coffee account for one-time donations, or you can subscribe to this channel if you're able to support a little more long-term. And if you want to help keep growing this channel and community, then please tell your friends, loved ones, coworkers, anyone looking for an awesome class. Currently streaming 2 days a week, but we have an awesome community here, and the more the merrier. And now I want you to make sure to hydrate, make sure to get some food. I'm definitely looking forward to some food myself. Take that celebratory post-workout shower and have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you all back here again on Wednesday. Mwah. Have a great night.